Hello everybody and welcome to your Bacchus support guide. So we're gonna be starting off, of course, going into our benevolent, because you know we're always grabbing that benevolence and going into the thieves right now on support. There's a Baron's Brew, which would be nice to have later on, but I can't get it quite this early because we got to make sure we have all of those health pots and, of course, our Sunder. So right off the bat with Bacchus, you need to know that you are allowed to press your 1 without actually putting a point into it. So we're really not going to be putting a point into our chug for most of the game, and that is because you can use chug without putting a point into it. Much like the way that a stand switcher can utilize their stand switch without putting a point into it, you can use your chug. Your chug is going to give you 40% on your drunkometer, which is the entirety of basically your smashed bar, because it starts at 60%. Your goal is to use it right around the time that it's going to run out on your bar. You always want to keep this bar at that smashed plus level on Bacchus, because you get a bunch of good bonus effects. So we got to be a little bit careful over here because it is the emoji, but not crazy careful. I get my burp first at level 1 because burp is going to knock back minions, which is going to give us a better laning phase. The actual burp itself, for the duration of it, the minions will be knocked back, and because they are knocked back, it gives you a nice extra push in the lane, because the minions for that duration will not be able to fight back.
Someone could take a bite out of here from nowhere.
Bacchus doesn't see a ton of gameplay right now. He's not like bad per se, he's just not great. He does have a really good fight, so if somebody like a Medusa wants to try to take it to you, you can take it right back to them. And you basically need to find a way to be a lane bully, and then you will transition, and Bacchus will end up playing more kind of like a second jungler than a traditional support. Later on in the game, he kind of plays like a solo laner. You're going to be doing a lot of backline diving and interrupting, although he does have the ability still to peel quite well with his kit if need be. So while we did get burp at level 1, we are in fact going to be maxing out our flop first, because it is burst damage. It is easier to land. Chances are people try to dash out of your burp, they don't sit in it for the entire duration, so you won't get the full damage amount from that. So our level order on Bacchus is going to be 4, 2, 3, 1. Leveling up your ultimate whenever you can, just because it gives you straight up damage, and Bacchus is a very high burst damage support. You're not going to end up with like top damage at the end of the game or anything, but for a single target that you're on, that you're doing the flop and the ulti combo on, they are actually going to be taking a whole lot of damage. This Medusa actually gets stuck on me with her dash. It's a big problem with Medusa dash. You got to be careful with it, so we're going to be able to pick up another kill there.
Goodness.
So pretty much all of Bacchus's abilities, all leveling does for them is just give you more damage. So you're basically just looking for the item, or for the ability that just gives you the most damage consistently, which is why you do 4, 2, 3, 1. Leveling up that 1 last. You do get some benefits when you press it, when you actually start to level it up. So you get some protections and magical power, and that will last for 6 seconds after you actually drink. So a lot of the times on Bacchus, you're going to want to drink right before you go into a fight. It becomes kind of a 2-for-1 deal. Helps you keep your passive up, so you get that extra power and damage mitigation. And then it makes sure that you've also got all of your protections and that good stuff. So you can see that every time I'm flopping on this Medusa, I am making sure to get behind him in order to stop his dash, to prevent him from just dashing away. So trying to position myself after the flop, that way when I'm burping behind him, if he dashes and trying to get away, oftentimes he's just dashing right into me and dying. Now that I've backed up, finished my thieves, got level 5, it's basically rotation o'clock. I can, of course, go back to the dual lane if I feel like my dual lane partner needs help. But at this stage of the game, you are now officially rotating as a support. So right about that 5-minute marker, give or take. You can go a little bit earlier, you could go a little bit later, but this is right about the time that you're looking to rotate. For our build on Bacchus, it's gonna be pretty standard what you're seeing a lot of supports right now. You're gonna end up, of course, with that Thebes. Oftentimes a Pridvin is gonna end up in these builds just because it's so stat efficient, provides you with another CC as well as a bunch of cooldowns. Those cooldowns lead to, of course, a bunch more CC. Being able to crowd control more means more initiation, means more peel, means more happy teammates not yelling at you in chat. So for our standard combination of abilities on Bacchus, it is going to be flop into our ulti into burp. So it's going to be 2, 4, 3 when we're going for the burst damage on a target, particularly when we're going for initiations. But that is technically not the most efficient way to combine Bacchus's CC. It just happens to be the most consistent damage output for his CC. Technically, if you want a longer CC duration, then you need to use the burp before the flop. So if you use flop then burp, you're gonna get a shorter CC duration than the other way around. Now, most of the time, it's not gonna matter. You're just gonna go ahead and utilize that flop, so it's gonna get you over a wall, it's gonna cover the distance, whatever. But the reason why it's not the same level of efficiency is because of diminishing returns in Smite. So our stun is 1 second on the burp, and our flop is the standard knock-up duration, right? So if we use our flop and then stun, the target is going to have 33% diminishing returns on them, meaning that the stun duration is going to last 33% shorter. But because flops in Smite, because knockups are not affected by DR, they only apply it, you still get the full length of CC from the knockup. So you will actually lose 0.33 seconds off of your burp stun if you do flop and then stun, progressively getting worse up to 66% if you do flop, ulti, and then stun. Also keep in mind that your intoxicate duration on your ultimate is 6 seconds. That is also affected by DR as well, so that can also be lowered. Now looking at our composition, we have got a little bit of auto attack on our team. Looking at their composition, they are rocking triple physical, double magical. I'm gonna grab myself a Baron's Brew right now, and I'm gonna start working myself into a Sovereignty just to give out some extra protections for my team. And then I'm gonna grab myself that Pridvin for the CDR. Now, a lot of people on Bacchus are going to have some mana troubles. Luckily, I've got a Baron's Brood this game, which is going to help out a little bit. But in general on Bacchus, I wouldn't recommend investing like a bunch of items or anything into He did not hear that Thanatos ulti coming our way, but I sure did. I tried to let him know, but it wasn't enough. I'm gonna have to start rotating over towards this right-hand side. Enemies are incoming. So you just gotta be careful about your ability usage on Bacchus, because yes, you will find yourself low on mana quite often. It's gonna happen. Just be careful with your consumption, particularly making sure not to do things like spamming your one when you don't necessarily need it, and not going for unnecessary combos on camps and stuff. Typically not your job to clear anyway, so letting other people kind of clear while you're just standing around using your giant fried chicken stick, oftentimes the way to go.
Goodness.
I'm gonna go into this tower and just grab ourselves the money for taking this. Gonna be very nice for the team. Now, while the flop stun combo is not necessarily the most mathematically efficient, it is oftentimes the one you want to use, just because you can't burp over a wall or something, right? So don't let the exact CC length impact the way that you're necessarily playing Bacchus, but it is information that you and your teammates should know, because it does affect your follow-up time that you will have for you and your teammates. And so it's good to know if somebody's trying to like follow up with the Kraken or something. This kind of leads us into what is good on Bacchus. Who is he good to play with? Who don't you want to play him against? In general, Bacchus does well against healers, because Bacchus's burp has anti-heal built in. So this guy's got anti-heal built right on into his kit, which means that he actually tends to do pretty well against Woojer. Woojer's a great example. He's also a support with a leap. Not a ton of supports in Smite with leaps, which means he can do well into the gods that provide walls, like Ymir and Woojer and Odin, so he doesn't have that support problem as well. He is also one of the premier initiators in Smite, which means he provides a ton of setup for your team. So you want to pair him with gods that have a lot of follow-up. Baron, not really a god that you would want to pair with Bacchus. You're looking for the big money ultimates in mid lane. Scylla's and Ra's and Poseidon's, oh my. Because you will be able to follow up off of that flop as they're coming back down. Easy, easy setup. Only way to get out of the knockup is to preemptively beat it, which is why knockups are the strongest form of CC in Smite.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
As far as the actual laning phase goes, typically Bacchus wants to be paired with somebody that, one, is ready to fight, and two, has decent lane clear. His lane clear is not the best, but his PvP early game is really good. So either somebody that can just clear the wave like crazy, like an Izanami, who's going to get you ready and set up for the fight, or somebody who is also ready to go for a really big fight, like an Anher, somebody that's just ready to go follow up off of your flop. Gonna look away from the Medusa. Unfortunately, not gonna be able to save our Huyi, but we do make it a little 2-for-1 trade right there. Take a gander at the red buff. See, is that up? It is not up. We should be able to do this Gold Fury. Their Thanatos might be able to get in range. I don't think the Scylla will probably be able to get here in time, though. So Bacchus right now in the meta, you'll see him pop up from time to time. I would take him right now more as a counter pick than anything else. Particularly when you need to be a support with a leap. Oftentimes support is going to be like 3rd, 4th, 5th pick anyway. So you'll oftentimes on support have the ability to counter pick, and he's certainly never going to get banned, so he's always going to be on the table. So if you're ever in a situation where like, man, I really need to be a support with a leap, and they've already taken Fafnir, you know, kind of the go-to premier support with that mechanic, Bacchus is not a terrible option. For my second active this game, I'm going to get our team a Belt of Frenzy, just something a little bit more aggressive. Bacchus does not really need Blink, which is a bonus for him, so it does also open up Bacchus to other relic paths. You can obviously go a Curse Donk if they have a lot of healing. Some of the defensive relics right now are pretty schmeh. I don't necessarily love Shell. I don't necessarily love Meditation. But the aggressive actives tend to be pretty strong right now. So Belt of Frenzy, just help us burn through those towers, help us burn down the Fire Giant when we get to that stage of the game. It'll also pair really well with like a Shogun's Kusari, with a Talisman of Energy, especially if your team is quite auto attack based, which oftentimes in Smite right now they are, although in this particular match my team is not. I'm gonna come around the back on this. I know Scylla leaped over the wall, and I know her ultimate is down as well. So I'm just gonna be chasing him, hit him with a little bit of drunk action right there, pop a little damage buff for my team. Still kind of just looking at that Scylla in the back line in case she decides to come back up, and she does. So I'm gonna continue my W key right on him. That's his beads, that's his Aegis. We grabbed the kill right there. I need to reset this Phoenix really quick, and then we need to go back and make sure we grab the actual tier 2 tower. Obviously, as a support, it is my job to make sure that I am tanking as much as I can for my team. Awkward time for that. Green buff to run out, and now we can all head over towards the Fire Giant. We killed 4 out of 5 of them. We've still got everybody alive, mostly at healthy HPs, so we can walk right over to this Fire Giant. Start taking the Fire Giant for my team. Try to aim it away from the rest of my team so the Fire Giant doesn't knock anybody out. And at this point, we're probably gonna need to kill the Bellona before we actually secure this. This is kind of an awkward spot right now. And they are gonna walk up and steal the Fire Giant. So what we should have had right there is we should have had our Morrigan out there zoning a little bit. It's a little bit awkward because we don't have a very good secure on this team. And we also don't have a ton of frontline. I guess our Morrigan is tanking Morrigan, so we got that going for us. But if the support is tanking the objective, then the solo laner is zoning. If the solo laner is tanking the objective, then the support is zoning. There really isn't a reason to have both of your tanks on the Fire Giant at the same time. Not gonna be enough damage output there anyway, so one of you should be zoning for the Giant. At this point, I'm going to get us a Talisman of Energy. All teams benefit from additional movement speed, even if the additional attack speed isn't the most important for this particular composition. Also going to make sure, though, that I try to save up 1,500 gold for the second that I get level 17, so I can finish up Compassion ASAP. Compassion, probably the most important support item right now because it helps take away damage from your team. So you want to make sure that you can get it the second that is possible. Scylla has used her ulti. I'm just going to go ahead and use my flop to continue to chase him. He's just going to try to get to a wall to dash over. That is fine. But looks like my Thanatos had his blink up, so he's gonna continue to chase anyway. But we do get that fire giant down. Gonna call for gank right lane. I'm also just gonna say attack middle lane because our Woojer can just continue to shove right up mid. We should be able to attack basically mid and right now. Whoa, Yamoja ultimate is down and Smite didn't really know what to do with me right there. Gonna pop that bonus damage. We're not gonna be able to kill the Yamoja, but we should be able to just go ahead and grab the right tier 2 tower. Also, their speed buff is up. We can take that on the way over as well. I don't even think we probably need creeps for this tier 2. We can just dive right on into it. Especially with my nice little Baron's Brew healing me. Now our goal is just to get level 17 ASAP so we can grab that compassion. And then probably get ourselves set up for another objective. Not 100% sure whether or not the Gold Fury is actually up right now, so I'm gonna walk over and check for the team to make sure that they don't get the objective for free.
On my way.
Looks like they've got some people rotating this way. I'm gonna make sure I don't use my flop aggressively right now. That way I can use it to jump away if I need to. Gold Fury is up. I'm gonna call for the gank right here. It doesn't look like they know that we are here. So we're gonna be able to come right around onto the Medusa, grab that kill, and now the Gold Fury is ours. Great timing on this primal as well. Gonna give us some bonus damage on the fire giant. Talisman of Energy and my compassion all finished up. Grab another sentry ward. Can't quite level up the belt of frenzy yet, but that's all right. It's actually not that important of an upgrade compared to the Sunder, which is still a very important upgrade. Now it's just time for us to get set up over by the fire giant. We built up a nice significant lead. Really, the only thing we've done wrong this game is our fire giant not properly turning around and just killing the people that came in, because they have better secure than us. Obviously, their kind of Scylla combo is gonna have better secure than the Baron. Unless, of course, Morrigan had her ultimate up. Just kind of baiting around right now. I don't want to commit too hard to this. So you can see that I'm not using my flop to go in until I feel like my Thanatos needs help. Now I'm going to go in and try to help out. Gonna pop my belt to Frenzy. That is a really good Scylla ulti over the wall. I need to make Scylla my target the second that I can see her. Now that I can see her, I'm gonna go in on her since she has way more damage output. Gonna start running into the back line because presumably she's gonna try to dash and get away, but she's kind of stuck over there on that wall. I think they're gonna be able to finish her. We did not lose our ADC, which means we can go right for a Phoenix. That's a really good Baron ult right there. And we should be able to grab this regardless of the fact that we don't have creeps or fire. And we can probably grab the right Phoenix as well. We've got creeps pushing up. Medusa and Thanatos are up, but that's only 2. Tank for the creeps just for a second. That way they make sure to stay alive. And then we go right back down towards the fire giant. So you can see I'm doing a very little job peeling this game. Almost everything that I'm doing is full-fledged W King. That's for a couple of reasons. One, Bacchus is just straight up good at it. But 2, if you look at our composition, they're basically a comp that can kind of self-heal. Baron has the heal for everybody to try to get away. Morrigan inherently is going to be back there with her stun. Woojer's got a very good leap to get away, plus the stun for himself. Plus he's got the ulti slow. So it's really more of a comp that is lacking in the front line initiation.
Attack left lane.
compared to the backline peel, so that is mostly my job this game. Now for our final item, I'm gonna get myself as close as I can to this Emperor's Armor. Emperor's Armor, kind of a criminally underrated item right now. Helps a lot with those Phoenix assaults and defenses, and it's pretty cheap and gives a lot of good stats. HP plus physical defense. And it is on the cheap, which is important for supports because Lord knows how hard it is for supports to actually get to level 20 to actually finish a build in this meta. Looks like the Thanatos is going for a quick pick, which is actually not a bad idea at all. In fact, they've come out for the fight looking for a pick, which is not a bad idea, but we are already grouped up. And so this is not going to work out for them the way that they would like it to. So we're going to pop all of our actives right now, all of our bonus damage. They're going to try to zone us out. Not a bad idea because of how big of a lead we had. There was no way they were going to be able to beat us at the Phoenix line when we were all set up. So try to grab a quick pick or two and buy themselves some more time. But it's just not going to be enough. So on Bacchus, as long as you don't lose too hard in the early game, you're gonna be fine. His mid to late game has always been really good. It's just in that early game, if you're against a comp that has really high clear, maybe you miss a flop early and so you get killed. Those are the kind of situations where Bacchus is going to have a harder time. But as long as the game goes past the 20-minute marker, which you would think would be all the time, but it's not, you're gonna be in a fine spot. So just be careful in that early game. Try to grab yourself another hunter that's got good fight / early clear at the very start of the game, just to make sure you don't fall behind at the very beginning, because then Bacchus can get really slow and it gets awkward trying to flop in, and then maybe you have to get a blink as you're active because you have to use your flop defensively all the time, guys. And that is your Bacchus support. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.